Welcome to Small Town Big Life Podcast, coming at you from the tool shed behind Grace Fellowship Church in Avis. I'm Drew Collins. Jackie Brown's flying the plane, and our guests today are Steve and Bethany Shrodo. And we're going to talk about preppers and prepping. And it's a hot topic. A lot of people are doing it, or a lot of people think you're nuts if you do it. But it's a fun thing to talk about. So that's what we're going to cover today. And if you'd like to chime in, send us an email. Okay. Pastor Drew, Pastor Drew, GFC. Is it Pastor Drew, GFC at gmail.com? I've never given away my email address on here. But anyway, there you have it.
We'll put it on the video.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I've never been as happy as I am right now. How are you, Bethany?
I'm fine.
Are you? So we started talking about this prepping stuff at church, and you said, oh, yeah, well, Steve's all about it, but you not so much, huh?
Not so much.
Why?
Because I think it's silly.
Okay, now let's get, Steve, what's your, respond to that.
She's a closet prepper. She just won't admit it.
So a hoarder, in other words. No, I'm just joking.
So let's establish that from the start. Like, what do you consider a prepper?
Good point.
I'll let you.
Somebody who hoards crap. I grow a garden and can.
Okay.
That's it.
So then if you can.
And how many freezers do you own?
2.
Hey, man, that's just practical.
So that's kind of prep. How long do you, like when
I
you
prepare the food for the 1 year purpose till it comes again next year.
So you've got a good bit.
Yes.
Okay, and you probably enjoy it.
I do.
Yeah, my wife does it. She just recently started. She's known, she's done other things like this, but the actual, with the steaming in the jars and the meat and all that stuff. So, so what's the difference between you canning and then what does Steve do that makes it different from you? What's your deal?
Nothing. I'm prepared try to be prepared for whatever.
How?
You be careful with people.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, do you have a go bag or do you have
Possibly.
like a go shelter?
We have a go bag and a plan.
Yeah.
Destination.
You do?
For when it hits the fan.
So a lot of people talk about bugging in versus bugging out and like getting ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that, Jackie?
Well, not to the extent that I think he does.
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking. See, that's why I think we need to just establish, like, are you just, the word we used here at church recently was homesteader. Your friends are homesteaders.
Yeah.
Like they're self-sufficient.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you got like Vicky and Kenny when they were here?
Yeah.
But their circumstances were different than, like, people like me is like, just get ready,
Yeah.
Because it's coming.
To me, it feels like, you're canning stuff so you have it for when you want it, whereas you are preparing for the invasion.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
So if you take care of food and you prep food, like my wife does the canning and stuff like that, but I'm the one, and I'm going to be honest, I've seen this prepping stuff, on TV and preppers, and I watched all the shows, and I always thought, well, I should be a little bit ready. But when the Russian-Ukraine thing happened, and I saw the footage of a civilized society of people outside of buildings where their homes were, and no heat, no food, and I was like, So it made me start to think a little more about it, and I started thinking it's not just war. I mean, it's natural disasters and floods and all, and I thought, well, I made an area, or like a room, and now I've got like, a couple of the, I got solar panels to generate some power bricks and heat enough to find a microclimate and just stuff that if, I don't know, little by little, because if it hits the fan, I remember back in Columbus one time, we had a power outage around Christmas, and it was because of an ice storm. And people were without power for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And most of them were going to staying at churches and gymnasiums and stuff like that. And I was like, man, where I lived, it was a miracle that I had power. I mean, a miracle. And because everyone around me was out, and I had heat and I had everything, but so many people, man. And I thought, oh man, that's a bummer.
Well, you didn't live here, and I don't know how old you are, but the 50th anniversary of Agnes.
I just turned 55.
Oh, really?
I'm not old.
I didn't think you were. No, I didn't think you were.
I'm old.
For real, I didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, the 50th anniversary of Hurricane Agnes is happening right now, and you'll see the Lock Haven Express, the local paper, is going to start doing more pictures of how downtown Lock Haven was underwater up to the top of the first floor.
We had some of those pictures when we did the Lock Haven history.
Yeah. So this is the 50th anniversary of that. So, I mean, what if that happened tomorrow?
Exactly.
We're due.
What would you do?
Head for high ground.
So I know where you
With
guys
his
live. You're
bug-out
kind of
bag?
in a. I don't know if that area is prone to really bad flooding, is it?
No.
Because I think you're high enough above river level. Where I'm at, I'm doomed.
Yeah, you're in doomed.
If
Yeah.
something happens, I'm in trouble. And I got everything on the top floor, but the only thing I don't have is a boat, and I might want to get one. But I look at it like, man, if it's going to flood, I'm gonna hightail it out of there with a truck full of stuff. I'll be in this church, sleeping in the same. So were you thinking? When did you start thinking? Well, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, I've always grown. I mean, I grew up. I was a Boy Scout. You know, I did the camping, wilderness survival stuff, and it's just never left. So just the last couple of years, probably a little before the pandemic started, I was actually looking back more into it.
So what do you like in your preparedness? Like for me, I want to have power. I want to have propane, heat. I want to have bullets. Not that I'm planning on.
Right.
But if I don't,
You never know.
what's the pray for peace, prepare for war.
Right.
Just be prepared all the time for everything. I'm not one of these wacko conspiracy theorists where I feel like I'm gonna have to fight the U.S. military or something, or they're gonna come take my guns. And those guys, I mean, no, that's a bad idea. If they ever come to take my guns, I think I'd give them my guns.
No.
I don't think I'm gonna be standing. Watch my wife crying next to a police cruiser while I'm inside, barricading, taking shots at the cops, or trying to go up against the U.S. military because of some dumb conspiracy theory.
No, in my book, it's much more likely to go up against a bear.
A bear, or an animal, or hunting, or widespread terrorism, like what happened in Portland.
Right.
If that stuff comes to your front porch, you got to take care of your family. You got to defend yourself.
Right.
And I know we live in a small town between mountains, but I still have the mentality of where I came from here. And sometimes if things go south, I think a lot of people know, hey, head to the folks in the country because they're prepared. And
Yeah, I agree totally. I grew up outside New York City, and I couldn't even imagine.
Where did you grow up? What town?
A little town, Stony Point, New York.
Stony Point. Huh.
so it's okay. So yeah, you were close enough to it to
Yeah.
And you think being like prepping is like silly?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. What?
I think there's a difference between being practical
Right.
and being, a good couponer, a good Boy Scout, having a generator since we lose power sometimes in big storms and that sort of thing, versus having
An underground bunker and stockpiles of ammunition and booze. And
Remember the shows that used to be on the History? They probably still are. Preppers and all.
Yeah.
What used to kill me is these guys. They would do that. They have these bunkers and all this stuff, and they were like. They would use this term like, well, when the marauders come, like it's a given that marauders are going to come.
Be Mad Max.
Yeah. And they have booby traps set up that are mean, nasty spikes and fire and flamethrowers. And I'm thinking from a pastor's perspective, here come my neighbors. They're hungry. Well, the flamethrowers will get them.
That's right.
That should be fine. They're stuck up on the stakes now.
Woo-hoo.
And I think, man, that's not because my wife says we've already got this little bit of a dispute going on because of her big heart, right? So we're talking about this one time in this pantry area we have. And she goes, well, we should have enough food for us and to help take care of other people that need help. And I go, okay, just hang on.
Right.
I go, now, if we starve, we can't help take care of anyone else. Because I know that she would give everything we have away to people, and I would come home and be like, where's all the food? Well, I gave it away. It's what we're supposed to do. And I can just see I'm going to have to put a lock on it if I expect us to survive through anything. So, and I told her we got to buy, I'm sorry, but I got to say this real quick.
No.
I said we got to buy in the pantry cat food. Why? Because my wife will give human food to those cats.
Oh.
And those cats already eat better than I do.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, big time. And if I have I don't buy the cat food. I go, if cat food, if it costs the same to feed one cat for a week as it does for me to go to Red Lobster and order whatever I want, that's too much money for cat food. But she's like, well, yeah, exactly. She wants to take care of them.
So tell us about your prepping.
No, I mean, there's different levels. Like, like we kind of touched on, that there's like the extremists. I think I'm more where you are practical. Like, if the grid went down and, things got crazy, and our car wasn't available, could we walk to our destination? Can I grab this bag and go 4 or 5 days to get to our destination?
So since Bethany, do you have one? Do you have a bug out bag?
I do not.
Okay, so if you bug out together, are you going to be like, well, I told you.
Should have played
He
along.
has told all of us it is his bag.
Yeah.
And only his.
Yeah.
You'll be sitting there
They
eating.
all want to make fun of me. They don't get the benefits.
Right. You're eating going, that was pretty good.
All right.
That's it. Yeah. I think it's a good idea to be prepared. People have bug out bags, and for me, like I said, what happened in Providence or in Portland, Oregon, and then the stuff I saw in Ukraine, it wasn't so much conspiracy theories and paranoia, because every conspiracy theory, I'm 55, I've heard in my entire life, not one has ever come true, and I'm totally anti-conspiracy theorist, because that's another show. We should do one on conspiracy theories. But when I see things play out right in front of me in the world, then I feel like I'm justified in going, maybe I should take this into consideration, because it's happening.
Did you feel, like when COVID hit, did you feel more of a need to learn more things and prep more things, different things?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it's more woodland skills. I mean, you look at our area, and we're surrounded by woods.
Yep.
So being able to survive in the woods for a couple days is really the gist of while moving.
Yeah. That is important. So do you do you have like Mylar bags, vacuum sealed rice and beans, all that kind of stuff?
Nah, some backpacking meals.
Yeah.
Tents.
Just some, like a couple emergency shelters, ponchos.
He's
Cordage.
super lightweight.
Yeah.
Minimalist.
So it's more.
He's on the go.
Yeah.
for
Right.
real.
You're
Right. It's not.
prepared.
I'm not building a home. I'm just building a
Survive. Just
cover for the night, being able to boil water and
Yeah.
keep moving, stay warm, stay alive.
So I don't know if you can reveal this, but where would you go? North?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yep. A family farm. Fair enough.
I don't know where I'd go. I'd have to wait until the moment.
Call me Canadian.
Yeah. I watch these videos on sometimes on YouTube about and I've seen ones with the headlines, how to survive a nuclear winter, and I'm like, I don't want to survive that.
No.
I want the warhead to land on my coffee table.
Yeah.
I don't want to crawl along like a zombie for the rest of it. And no, I don't want to survive that. And then I don't. So,
But I mean, you never know. I mean, when I was growing up, I grew up in Adams County, so, Maryland border. And within a few minutes is Camp David. And we would find out afterwards about some dictator threatening to blow up Camp David with a nuclear warhead. It's like, oh, we'd be toast.
Right.
right now?
Well, in the whole 3 Mile Island.
3 Mile Island.
I grew up right near power, nuke plant too, and you're
Exactly, and
it could happen anytime.
that was so much worse than we thought it was. If you watch that Netflix special, and
Well, if there's ever any nuclear stuff going down, we're smack dab between two major targets. We're between D.C. and Columbus, Ohio. There's
Right.
D.C. for obvious reasons. Columbus, Ohio has Battelle, the Defense Construction Supply Center, and Ohio State. A lot of the communication systems at Ohio State. So you've got major targets in Columbus, Ohio, and major targets around the D.C. area, and if a nuke ever hits any of those places, I mean, the wind's going to blow this way no matter which way the wind's blowing. And so...
that's actually a really good point. If something, God forbid, would happen, there really is nowhere for us to go. Where we live right now, there are no underground shelters. There's not a mountain with an underground salt mine.
And there's no real heavy targets here. Because, in fact... This would be a coveted area because of the natural resources, the gas. But if somebody nuked close by, not much you can do.
Yeah,
I mean, you're a goner.
Right.
It might be even slower though. But I don't know. I'm certainly not a military strategist. But based on what you've seen people do in the past, and it's usually people say that stuff. It's a lot of saber rattling like Putin, but then. When you watch the news now, you go, "Hey, man, some of this stuff is happening." So it, I'm not an alarmist, but only in the past year have I taken my preparedness attitude up a few notches.
You almost have to.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are unrealistic with their knowledge and skills,
and their needs.
Right.
What do you mean? Unrealistic and like
think they're better prepared than they actually are, and not.
Oh, I believe. Yeah,
never practice fire building.
Yeah,
right.
And just think, this lighter I packed 10 years ago is going to work.
Right, right.
Maybe it's out of gas. And I don't know.
I mean, because you see it. I don't know if they have them at Sam's Club or where they have them, but they have these like big 5-gallon bucket preparedness meals,
right.
or whatever, but. You kind of need to know how to start a fire to actually cook the food in the bucket.
Right. Or people that buy like the pre-made
like
go bag.
MREs.
Yeah. And even just like the go bag and never even open it and have no clue what's inside, whether it's decent, how to use any of it.
Or own a gun and don't know how to clean it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you got that's a very good point. A lot of that stuff, because people buy like the magnesium fire starter kit. They buy the kits and they don't know what to do with it. I tell you, my first concern when I thought about prepping was water and heat. I know food's important, but you can go without food. You can't go without water.
Right.
And so my first thing was water filtration. How can I get water? I live next to a river, and that's fine. But ideally, you'd want to collect rainwater if possible. And how do you filter that? So my first thought was, okay, well, I'm going to have a plan to filter water. And then a plan for temporary heat, and then the food part will come next, because I grew up in the woods. I know how to hunt and fish and clean most things. I've never cleaned a deer, but I can field dress a dove and pheasant and all that stuff. I know enough that
you could muddle your way through it.
I could muddle my way through it, yeah. And but you got to have the food, you got to have the water and the pots and the pans. And the stuff to, like you said, the necessities people don't think about. A bug-out bag might get you through 72 hours.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of stuff in it you won't use, or it won't work out. Like I see in the medical supply kit has a couple of Band-Aids and like a tourniquet. I'm like, I mean, that's fine if you cut yourself in a thorn bush.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. But I agree with you, man. They make a lot of money on it, too. A lot of dough, and they're expensive. I see those kits and I think, no.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Just buy a bag of rice and beans.
And it's a false sense of security, too, because they're thinking, oh, well, I'm set. I'm good.
I funny you said that, because I got a ton of rice and beans.
Do you know how to cook dried beans, though?
Yeah. Well, you got to soak them.
Not everyone knows that.
And cook them forever.
Yeah, yeah, you got to soak them. Yeah, but the protein and I mean, I don't look forward to eating that, but I love red beans and rice, And I don't have like, you know, some of these people, I watch these people on this YouTube channel. It's a family. They're called the Provident Preppers. That's their channel. And they're great folks. They're nice people and everything. They, you know, but man, they go to the extreme. They got like their basement's like a warehouse, and they're like squeaky clean Ned Flanders people, you know, and they're fun to watch. But I think to myself, man, you guys have got so much, and now you're on YouTube. If anything goes bad in your area, your whole neighborhood's going to be at your front door.
Know exactly where to go.
Yeah, and the other thing is,
So that's kind of counterproductive.
Yeah.
well, I think they've got enough food for 20 years for a family of probably 10, which they don't have a family of 10. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, what do you do when the other people come knocking?
Right.
Do you just sit there and eat like every day? You can have like a Thanksgiving dinner meal. Go, sorry guys, you should have.
Yeah.
Right. Or are they prepared to defend it?
Right.
Well, yeah, and well, they don't talk about that,
Right.
but I bet they are. But you know, they're nice people, and their videos are fun, and they're intelligent. They give you all the facts, and man, they get like it's a whole thing for them, and the kids are involved, and I don't have 5-gallon buckets full of rice, but I do have Mylar. I got Mylar bags. I know the ratios for how many cc's you put in to dry out to dehydrate or oxygen absorbers, all the different foods and all that stuff. But I don't have like the folks on these, you know. Well, it's just me and my wife here,
Right.
and it's like you said. I want to be realistic, but Bethany, you know, she's gonna be grabbing them jars of canned food.
That's right. Canned peaches? Absolutely.
So I'm intrigued that your position on this is more so passive. You just don't strike me
happening.
You don't? No. Haven't you been, but you've been around through some kind of, when you watch the news or just to see a flood or a blizzard or something, I mean, surely you got to go, oh, wow, man, we should be ready in case that happens. I mean, does that?
Yeah, we have solar panels and generator, but it's for short term.
Right. Well,
To get to the destination.
To
The
get through the
classified
weekend.
destination.
the classified destination. Yeah. So do you have like an area, a pantry? You just got a bug out bag and you got a pantry. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. I have an apocalypse room.
Yeah.
It's about as big as a walk-in closet. I started about a year ago, and it's got all the stuff I mentioned. You know, there's stuff to cook with, stuff to filter water with, that kind of stuff. I'm not a freak about it.
Right.
Nobody would walk in that room and go, "Look at this. What's the matter with you?" I would have to. I would have to tell them, "Well, this is for this and this is for this." So it's not like something. So if something happens, don't come to my house because I don't have that much stuff. So
But do you know how to use it all?
yeah, I do. I know how to use. Yeah, I wouldn't. If I had to get my hands on something I didn't know how to use it, I would research it big time and then try it. But I don't have anything that I don't know how to use. Right.
How many different ways can you start a fire?
Let's see, matches, map gas torch, cigarette lighter. The rubbing two sticks together, you have to have a bow and a thing. That's a whole thing. Magnesium, you can use flint if you got some tender, some soft, and which you can actually take a knife and scrape off of your socks. There's a bunch of different ways to start fires. So,
Yes. He does them almost daily.
Regularly.
Yeah.
Got to keep the skills sharp.
Yeah. It's what's fun. A part of you, it's like being a
little kid.
Being a boy scout
Yeah,
again.
being a boy. Boys, God made boys to be boys for a reason, and the things they do, and it's fun. When we were kids, I grew up in the woods. We wanted to do all that stuff: build forts, tents, start fires.
That's pretty much what it is.
It is, and when you're grown up, you're like, hey, this stuff actually has a practical application. So, and it doesn't leave your nature once you get older, and you're like, I need to kind of remember how to do this, and it's like being a kid, but it's important. It can come into play.
Right.
Don't scoff.
And you don't know how much time you're going to have in an emergency.
No,
So
because
that's why the bag is.
emergencies happen in one way, suddenly.
Right. So I know I can grab that and pretty much we can go.
Yeah.
No,
Instead of scrambling, going, oh my gosh, we need this. Where's that? Has anyone seen this?
There's a company, because a lot of people haven't thought about this. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
There's a company that sells kits with drugs for all the different antibiotics. And I hadn't thought about that. And it's all the different antibiotics for all different infections. It's a chart. And because they said if there's something goes south and, there's no pharmacies, they'll be robbed, looted, closed, and you or your kids have some problem. You need, there's no narcotics or anything. Right. But all the stuff that you would need, and they're kind of expensive. They're like $250, $350, but it's a pharmacy. And it's got all the different antibiotics and all the lists of dosages and what they're for, what infections, what kind of, and I'm like, man, now that is a good idea. Because if you do have to live in a civilized society in an uncivil way, you are going to be exposed to the potential of those type of things, illnesses and bacterias and all that kind of stuff. Huh?
Not where we're going.
Well, maybe the trip there might be that way. Because I'm picturing like War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Bodies floating down the river.
Yeah.
No, I'm just.
Well, no, I mean, you never know.
You don't. Aliens might rise up out of the earth and go along and evaporate us. It could happen.
If there was something that you could get now, like if money wasn't an object and supplies were not an object, is there something you really would want to be prepared with?
Land in a mountain.
Well, other than
with a cabin and
well, I
think like a sat phone or no, just relying on your skills.
Oh, no, I mean, we have the camper pretty well full stocked. Could be grabbed at any time and throw some stuff in that, and we could be gone in 15 minutes if we had to.
Easily.
And you teach your kids the skills too, like starting fires?
Sometimes they're not real keen on it. They're like, whatever, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yep. But when the marauders come, they'll be it.
Yeah, if you're not gonna put any effort in,
Dad, we're freezing to death. Well, should have paid attention when I tried to. My fire's toasty.
That's right. Got my emergency blanket. Where's yours?
Yeah. I noticed one thing that in this pantry room I started, my wife always comes to me and go, do we have any syrup up there? Or do we have any? She's like taking stuff out of there. And I told her, I go, you're not supposed to take stuff out of there. She goes, Drew, you're supposed to rotate it. I go, we're rotating it too much. I go we're rotating too much. So I've taken a lot of stuff out of there, and I have to put it back. So I don't know.
But we buy a lot of stuff in bulk that we can, whenever we can.
But you have kids though,
right. So
you'll go through that stuff.
Right.
I thought that one time, that sounds pretty good deal. I could use $60 worth of spaghetti sauce. It's, and then I'm like, well, this lasted a lot longer than I thought. It's expired. Of course, expiration dates. It's weird because I had to really slow my roll on that attitude because I'm weird about that. If I look at it, if it's like one day before expiration, I'm not eating it. But I once I learned about what a scam, anything that's in cans is like really not true. And it's not expiration dates, it's best by dates. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that stuff in a number 10 can will go for a lot longer. But the obvious stuff, bread and milk and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still, are you guys, what do you like with
I don't even look at expiration dates.
Oh my God.
Oh, I do.
Not ever.
I mean, aside
You're
from
brave.
water.
Smell it, and there's no mold, you're good to go.
When I was a kid, I would get cheese, and if I saw mold in it, my mom would go, just cut that part off. And I was like,
Exactly.
No, it all has to go.
no, the whole thing has been tainted.
And everything else that was in the fridge.
It's evil. Yeah.
You know how they make cheese?
Yes, I know.
You just cut it off.
But if
the
I look
end.
at something that has a living organism on it and it's green, it's just not going to happen.
Do you yogurt?
That's what I was just going to say.
I don't eat anything that has a Y and a G in it. So, no yogurt.
Yogurt can go for like 6 months beyond easily.
Gross.
But then it gets all watery. And
Stir it up.
I like lumpy milk. So,
Bring on the
chunky
lumpy
style.
I
milk.
like lumpy milk. It's an ongoing thing in my house with my wife and I. She gets like organic stuff. She gets stuff that's good for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm kind of a hillbilly.
Bring on the SpaghettiOs.
Oh man, yeah. And she'll buy this organic milk, and I call it hippie lumpy milk. Mm-hmm. And it's not, but
is it oat milk?
But no, it's just milk. It's just
milk.
It's milk, but it's organic and. Oh man, I don't want to get it.
Is it Amish milk or is it from a grocery store?
I don't. No, not Amish.
Okay, because that is organic.
Usually not.
Okay, so listen to me.
Wow.
I gotta say this.
Wow.
Okay, you know my dad, when he was a homicide detective. He retired, but he used to be just a regular cop. He told me one time. I think I talked about this on another podcast. I said I had these cookies on the counter, and he picks them up and eats them. These are pretty good. Where'd you get them? I said we got them at this Amish stand, this buggy place outside of town. They're really good. And he spit it out. And he threw it away. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I ain't eating that stuff." And I said, "Why? It's good." He goes, "We had to go out and shut them down all the time on the roadside and for selling that stuff." And he goes, and when you go to where they make it, he goes, they don't believe in air conditioning. It's hot. These women have these long dresses. There's sweat dripping off of them. They got their fingers and their hands down and all that dough. And then they go out and they sell it on the side of the road, and people like you buy it and eat it. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "I'm not eating it." And I was like, never again did I go to a roadside Amish place and buy food. And he's probably now. I'm sure that some have higher standards. This was in Lancaster, Ohio, which there's but now every time I see him, I'm like, are you washing your hands and doing things properly?
No, they're not. But
okay. But
it is.
Do you think anybody does?
Yeah.
My standards are pretty high in general.
Mine are
Have
too.
you ever been in a food factory?
Yeah, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it really any better?
Yes, some of them you can eat off the floor in some factories.
But there's some of them, like there's a whole series on Netflix that I cannot watch. I think it's called Rotten. And it's about food factories that are just disgusting.
It is, but there's also a lot of them that are like, man, have you, okay, well, this is not really fair, but it's Budweiser. The largest brewery in the world is in Columbus. Mm-hmm. And you can tour it for free. Mm-hmm. And so it's cool the way they got it laid out. They got these tunnels and bridges that go out over the entire factory. And I'm not kidding. You could set something on the floor and eat it. And all the tanks sparkle like they're chrome. And now it's a beer factory, but I've seen food factories on documentaries and stuff that are similar. Now, I know there's gross ones, but they're not all gross.
And the ones that are being toured every day by people are certainly not gross. But the ones that are not being toured, like I can think of a vegetable canning one right now that your feet stick to the floor.
Yeah, I try not to think about the food you buy in the store.
Yeah.
If you got to heat it up.
Which is why I grow my own.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you got to heat it up, like, yeah. But I don't know. It's a good idea to grow. You said, but this got me started because you said I have high standards. I'm like, I do too. I won't just eat anything anywhere. Because if I'm at home and someone comes to my house as a guest, I wash my hands before I'll even hand them a bag of potato chips. And I'm the same way when I make food for myself. I mean, my hands are completely clean. I'm careful about what I touch and what I do. Mm-hmm. And I'm just...
Most people are not.
I know they're not. And
I've worked in a lot of concession stands.
I know people are gross when it comes to the way they handle food. And,
yes.
And, sometimes I'll look at a person, I'll be like, "You want some potato salad?" And I'm picturing their hands down. And I'm like, nope. If you got something that's still in the wrapper, I'll have that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I'm really weird about that too. So I have, I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. So you're like real loose about it, aren't you? You're like, whatever.
No, I mean, I went to culinary school. I got ServSafe certified, so I know all about the proper hygiene for...
But you don't seem like it bothers you too much, because you're like, a minute ago, you're like, hey, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, if you're at an Amish stand, then
It's expected, right. But the fruits and vegetables... I wouldn't hesitate.
You brush the dirt off,
right.
you know?
That's a different...
Prepared goods.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
We've gone from prepping to
farm stand.
Farm stand.
This is Bethany's fault. She said she had high standards, and I immediately jumped all over that and took it in a different direction.
So here's the question.
Now, by the way, I want to say something to Amish people.
What?
I have no problem with Amish people.
No.
This is one experience I had a long time ago. So I don't want, if anyone listens, think that I'm saying Amish people are dirty or something.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
talking about one story that traumatized my view on
For life.
Yeah, for a long time. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So if you were in a situation where you had to bug out or whatever, what about meat? Like, would you kill wild animals? Do you raise chickens or
we did have chickens for a while.
That's a
Not
lot of
anymore.
work. That's a
Yes.
lot of work.
We like to go on vacation. It doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah, because you have to have someone watch the chickens every single day,
That's
right?
like Steve, you were talking about people don't take into account. I researched that, and I was like, no way, man.
No.
Way more work than you think it is.
They're
Chickens.
fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it did all go south, I would look to get a couple. You know, if you're in that situation where where you needed them for the eggs and or the meat. But yeah, we raised a couple for a couple years and we'd do it again if we had to.
Yeah.
But don't
They
need
have
them
funny
now.
little personalities.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They do.
Anything you get, I know they do. Any critters you get attached, I wouldn't be able to. My wife wouldn't let me kill them. She'd be like, no, that's Gladys. Don't kill
Until they
Gladys.
go after you or bite you or
Yeah,
start to
I
eat
was
your
scared of them
garden.
as a kid. They chased me. I didn't like that.
Guineas chased me as a child.
Yeah,
I didn't like them either.
Who chased you?
Guineas.
Guineas.
guinea hens.
Oh yeah. I know what those things.
Not guinea pigs.
No, I
Because
know.
that would
I
be
know
a
what
much
they are.
slower chase.
She's talking about Italian chickens.
Wouldn't be traumatic.
It would.
They're Italian chickens,
something
right?
out of a horror movie.
That was inappropriate.
Wow.
I was watching the mafia stuff today, and the offer.
Now
Anyway,
I'm just picturing like guinea pigs running after you, like.
you could just kick them like little footballs.
Yeah.
So you
like
were asking
little
him,
porks.
you were asking him if he would kill wild animals.
Well, yeah. I didn't know if you raised.
We had the chickens, but
We ate the chickens.
Yeah, and we go hunting and
Well, you said you have a couple freezers. Mm-hmm. So, like, do you go in on a half a cow with another family or something like that? Yeah, I mean that's practical, especially with the way the price of meat is going these days.
Right.
Everything could because gas, but yeah,
Well, you know,
that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
it is. I don't want to get on.
Which is again kind of what's driving the way you and I look at it. Is I don't know if you're going to be able to get some of the stuff
I know.
before too long, or how much it's going to cost.
Yeah. So some of the stuff, like I mildly stock up on the cheap stuff with protein. A little bit. I think, it's like he says, with gas. When things go south, like I said a second ago, it's suddenly. It's not. You don't see it coming and go, well, better time to get things together. It's something just happened yesterday, and now we're in trouble. That's how things happen, right? And a lot of people don't realize that until they go through it. People that, well, I think all of us, here remember 9/11, and a lot of people didn't experience that. And so, unless you live through something where the whole world changes in an hour, it's hard to understand how that can happen. And
well, I mean, look at COVID.
yeah, but COVID still, it did happen fast. It was,
Yeah.
but it wasn't overnight, but it was fast.
Yeah,
What, a week?
yeah.
mean,
The whole world shut down.
They start shutting everything down. Yeah. So
But I mean, how many people do we know, like on the food thing, that go to the grocery store like every day and buy the groceries they need for that day? I mean, we know people that live like that.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
I do that, but we get stuff and stick it in the freezer, and we got another freezer, and we got the room where, But you're right. Some people,
And most supermarkets only have like 3-4 days worth of stock.
Mm-hmm.
And it rolls over so quick. So they're not even, if it goes bad, they're not even going to be reliable.
Exactly.
So
the food is way different. I noticed when we came here to visit, and then when we moved here, the grocery store, everything about food here is different. It's way more expensive than it was
Really?
in Columbus. The grocery store visit back home, like this is my home now, and I love it. But back where I'm from in Central Ohio, that was $50. Here would be about $65. And it's a noticeable difference. And and in the grocery stores here, I don't want to name any names, but the ones that are speckled everywhere, the chain, their expiration dates are always like within a few days. And I'm used to seeing expiration dates that's 1 or 2 weeks out. And I'm like, this expires in 3 days. If I buy this and take it home, I got to freeze almost half of this stuff because I won't eat it all within 3 days. And so the food is more expensive and it's closer to the expiration date. And that
You're further away from the chain.
I know, and it's
Or the
yes, it's
distributions-
the distribution.
Yeah.
It's distribution, and I get that, but I'm more jaded by the price and difference. I mean, it was noticeable when I got here. I'm like, food's a lot more expensive here, man, in a grocery store, and so.
But what about the general cost of living?
Well, I spend way less in gas because my wife and I mean, before gas was what it was now, a couple of years ago, when the mean tweeter was in office, it was record low gas prices. And mean tweeter's just a joke. When the country was being run correctly and gas prices were low, we still had to drive. Everywhere we went, we made a joke. $20. Going to church, $20. Going to work, $20. It was $20 because in Central Ohio, people think it's flat there. From north, it is. South, it's hills. And everything's far away, anywhere we had to go. So our joke was $20. Here, everything I want to do is within 15 minutes. And if I do have to drive somewhere like Williamsport, I think it's like 28 minutes or so, I complain.
Right.
Where that used to be part of my daily routine, like 5 or 6 times a day. And here I'm like, man, I want to go all the way over there.
Yeah.
And so, because I'm spoiled now. And I'm not spending vulgar money on gas here.
Right.
But then the things that you can't get within 15 minutes, you're getting on the internet.
Oh, yeah. I did that before I got here. Amazon.
Oh,
Amazon?
yeah.
I'm big time Amazon. Yeah. But,
I mean, God forbid Amazon shuts all its doors tomorrow.
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. People
if
that grew
then
up here
Walmart
don't.
disappeared, people would
Lose their
Yeah,
minds.
absolutely.
If what?
If
Disappeared?
Walmart disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
Walmart and Amazon, if those two closed their doors tomorrow, people would
There'd be
People
riots.
wouldn't know what to
anarchy.
They would. They'd go crazy. And we'd lose a lot of entertainment on the internet, too.
Well, yeah.
Well, you know what's funny about Walmart? I'm sorry, this is another rabbit hole. Lately, me and my wife get in these different grooves. I don't know. Lately, we've been in this groove where we was watching these true crime shows, where they go, well, here's what happened, and they talk to the detectives, and then you go to the end, and video surveillance is always a big part of how they catch the bad guys. And I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. Like 7 or 8 out of 10 of them involve Walmart cameras. Walmart cameras are wired to the max everywhere, and people have to drive. Even people driving on the freeway, they go to Walmart. Is that freeway in your camera? Like, yes, and they go sit in Walmart. And Walmart's cameras. I said Walmart should get a medal. They should be recognized for their contributions to police work
Or
because
at
of
least
their
some kind of kickback.
their surveillance has solved like tons of
I
crimes.
believe it.
Yeah, and they have cameras like
All over the parking
Oh,
lot.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
You can't
yeah, and
go near it without being seen. Scary.
Well, when you said everyone goes to Walmart, criminals do too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where they buy their shovels, their duct tape. I'm serious.
Exactly.
They're tools of nastiness that they want to hurt people with, and they go to Walmart. And if they rob someone, they take the credit card. Guess where they
Go
go
to
first?
Walmart.
Walmart. Yes. They want to change their identity. They need new makeup, new clothes. Guess where they go? Walmart.
Walmart.
And they bust everybody. Somehow, Walmart is heavily involved. So it's a huge part of our culture. I know that it isn't quite what you were getting at,
No,
but you're right.
Well, we used to joke back in the day. Every time we went into Walmart, we spent $100 within $5 or $10. I could go in there for a pack of gum, and I'd come out with $100 bill, and I'd be like, "What?
What happened? You find a
just
bunch of stuff you didn't know that you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know you needed it till you got to Walmart and saw it.
Oh yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
now
now-
the bill is much greater.
Now what?
Now the bill is much greater.
Yeah. I do that too.
Yeah.
I go to. Do you do that?
I try my darndest not to go to Walmart, but Mike will go every single day if he wants to.
Yeah.
There's always something. He's always thinking of something. Oh, gotta go to Walmart.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, but keep a running list and try to minimize trips.
I do it all the time. I'll go to Walmart to get food, and
But I mean, it's interesting. You were saying how
You come
things
home
are.
with duct tape and
Yeah.
shovels.
No, I don't, no. But like, well, they had these paint sprayers on sale, and it's an airless paint sprayer. They're
Yeah.
normally really expensive, and I'll use it sometime.
Yeah,
Anyway.
sometime I'll use it.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying about how the prices are more expensive here than they were in Ohio. I think like the stuff in the stores is so much different here than compared to like my family's in upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountains. So you go in there and it's survival city because you don't know if you're going to get snowed in for 2 weeks. The power's going to go out in an ice storm for 2 weeks.
Right.
So there's things on the shelves there that are just every day. And then, if a city person, I say city person, but, someone who's lived in New York City their entire life would walk in there and they'd be like, what's that thing for? It's like, oh, well, you're going to find out
Yeah.
in about 2 weeks.
What are these snow chains?
What are snow chains?
Yeah, you do. Well, so you can, folks that aren't from
Can I put snow chains on my Beamer?
Tractor Supply, like folks that aren't from, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But
I mean,
that's-
I still run across stuff, and I grew up around farms and in the woods and stuff, and I'll go through Tractor Supply and see something, be like, what is that for? And I've got tools, and I have like a sickening amount of tools. I had to rent a storage facility just for my tools. They're not even here. They're still in storage back in Columbus, most of them. And
That
people are like,
sounds
what
like
is
a
that?
problem.
What is that? Well, I did that kind of work for years, and then I was a certified RV mechanic. And so there's not mechanic that works on the engine. I mean, it changed oil and stuff, but the actual
Interior.
yeah, the whole vehicle. And anyway, so I had just over years and years, I got so many tools, and I tried to do something with them. Like, I want to give them to some kid or somebody that's going to do, but kids that are interested in stuff already got them.
Yeah.
They either got their dad's or they got their own, and you can't throw tools away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I don't need all these. What do I do with them? And I don't want to stick them in a yard sale. I mean, I'd rather give them to someone who anyway. That's another whole thing. But yeah, you're right. There's all kinds of stuff you see that other people just like don't know what the use for it is.
Well, it's like you said, though, when the apocalypse happens or whatever, if they've never opened the bag, then they're going to have no idea what to do.
Right. But there's little keychain saw things and all that stuff. I'm like, dude. I mean, you got to be in dire straight. That's like something on Gilligan's Island maybe that might work out, but not. There's nothing real. There's no practical application for that. No. I got charged batteries, and a sawzall.
Yeah, anything you can cut with one of those cable saws, you can break.
yeah,
Because
pretty much.
you're just cutting firewood anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
So I have a very practical question, and I messaged it to you guys. But if you were in a bunker, because I genuinely don't know this answer to this question, I'm thinking, you're in a nuclear bunker or whatever, you're underground, you're locked in the thing, you can't come out. What do you do about a bathroom?
Bucket.
But what do you do with it?
You dump it outside.
You can't go outside.
Oh,
A lot of the I've seen ones like online that are like
bags.
or have
Compost.
like a compost.
Yeah, they got you. It's a 5-gallon bucket with a lid, and it's got a bag, and you go in the bag and you tie the bag up. I mean,
And then you grow potatoes in it, like in The Martian.
you go well.
Like the diaper genie.
That's why I said I don't want to live in that circumstance. If
know.
there's radiation blowing around outside and I'm in a hole in the ground, I don't want that. I mean, I'm not trying to survive through that.
Yeah, but that was my question. If
They make
radiation,
compost toilets.
yeah, if you cannot step outside your bunker and you are scared, blank
Realistically, and then water supply.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you supposed to do? How do you keep clean? How do you? I mean, is it going to be like
to me, a bunker's not a realistic.
No, it's not. Unless you basically have had a underground condo built, which some of them have.
Well, yeah,
But I always thought to myself, wait a minute, you got to have air in there,
Right.
which means there's a pipe coming up out of the ground somewhere.
exactly.
The air you're trying to stay away from is coming down in.
Yeah. Well, right. And if I want to get you out of there, I can do it quickly. And I don't know. There's some things I don't want to survive through.
True.
But when you're, we all know that when you're responsible for other people, you have your instincts are different.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, it's not just you anymore.
Right.
So you might go a little further than you would if it was just for yourself.
True.
So I don't know, but I don't want to live through anything nuclear.
But I mean, you see the things in movies, of course, and like the Book of Eli, and there was a nuclear disaster, but somehow the little wipey diapies that you get at Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever, they survived, and you can clean yourself with those, even though it was a nuclear apocalypse.
That's my primary method of cleaning.
You know?
Thank you.
But I mean,
In everyday life?
Yeah, every day. I just have
Wipey
wipies. Yeah, I don't like the water.
Yeah.
Well, I have wipies.
I mean, we know that Twinkies will survive.
No, that's a myth. That's not true.
Can you prove it?
Have you ever actually looked at the ingredients in a Twinkie?
It's grossly exaggerated
It's
how long a Twinkie can last.
Disturbing thing.
Listen.
Do you ever see the
Twinkies.
guys on TV that eat old expired stuff?
I have.
Some of that is like 20 plus years old.
I know. And some of them they
Yes,
open it.
Some of them are.
And sometimes they open it and they're like, no, can't do this one. And then the other ones they'll eat it, and I'm like, and it reminds
Apparently
me.
Pringles last forever. I saw that one.
Well, yeah.
I didn't see that one.
They're full of MSG.
But it's like remember when you're a kid on the playground, you go eat it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll give you a dollar.
gross. And, yeah. So
Like, I don't want that.
I have seen. It's funny that you chirp up to go. Here's something gross that I watch.
Expiration dates that I don't pay attention to.
I don't see.
That's why she smells it first.
I cleaned
Oh,
out
yeah.
my mom's kitchen one time. Grace was with me. I mean, this was like 10 years ago or something. I don't know. And I'm like, Mom, you cannot keep this stuff. And the Worcestershire sauce or whatever it was 17 years old. And my mom actually said this. I go, Mom, you know what the expiration date is on this? And she goes, oh, you and your dates. Well, you get off. There is nothing wrong with that. I go, this is 17 years. And she goes, you need to quit reading dates all the time. She would say that. And I'm like,
It's got to be a generational thing because my aunt, God rest her, would have things, and as long as it wasn't open, brand new.
yeah. Oh,
Brand
it's
new.
still good. Is the twist tie on the bread still? Well, the bread's walking erect and thinking for itself. That's still good if the twist tie's on it.
That meat in the freezer is literally 20 years old. I look at the date on it. It's 20 years old. Brand new.
Brand new. Yep.
Brand new.
Not open.
Not open.
Milk's
Good.
good till you open it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a smell. Yeah. And meat goes bad fast.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. Really, really
That's why you
quick.
got to get a Sealovac.
Get a what?
A Sealovac? A sealer? Oh.
I got all that. I got a
yeah.
sealer. We got a canner. I got Mylar bags, and I got all that stuff. I like Grace does the pressure. Do you have one of those pressure canner?
I do.
Okay, so I got her one, and I never purchased one, so I have to research them. So I get, it's called American something or other.
Merkin something.
You know the ones with the twist that look like a submarine? Mm-hmm. I was thoroughly impressed with the craftsmanship on this thing.
I've thought about those, but I've never done one.
You talk about a pan, right? I don't even think much about a pan or a pot, and I got this, and I'm like, look at this thing. I said, Grace, this looks like it was made for an airplane. I said, this thing is precision tooled, and it was $300.
It better be a precision tool for $300.
Yeah, and it is. It's really, and that's the small one, right? You can get big ones, and she puts it to use, and she knows how to do all this stuff. I don't know how to do it, and because there's rules.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't something you can just go into and go, I'll figure it out.
This is chemistry.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And there's these ladies that do this stuff. They need to know what they're doing. It's and I know you could do it, and I don't have the patience, so I just don't. There's a lot of things I do have patience for. That's not one.
Yeah, I've never done the pressure cooker with the submarine looking thing. I mean, I've made my own jam, and we've pressure
You do
cooked
it. You're very
chili.
into foodie.
Oh, I'm a body by bacon. What do you?
No, I mean I know you have a pretty vast knowledge of a lot of.
Oh yeah. Well, I had to start cooking at a very young age, but because I was the cook of the family. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to learn more about canning things and
It's really awesome, don't you think?
chemistry
I mean,
of it.
you do it.
yeah.
It's rewarding. I mean, because when you know how to do it, because I know a little bit about it, and I watch Grace do it, and it's like you said, it's chemistry involved. There's how much water, how much time, how much pressure, the gauge. You got to watch all this stuff, but the food lasts. I mean, it literally will last 20 years if you can it right. And
And store it right.
and store it right.
Yeah, store it right. It's got to be in a cool temperature.
Yeah, like
and
my
no light.
Grandma always had it going down the steps of the cellar.
Yeah, and it'll taste good for. I mean, in 5 years. Now, ideally, no one wants to keep it that long. You want to eat it sooner, but
The pears I just opened were 2013. They were a little bit mushier than I like.
Well,
that's
to be
a long
expected.
time. And if they're pears too.
I mean, pears.
Yep.
Eddie Izzard has that whole thing about pears. Not ripe, Brett. Not ripe yet. Woo!
I don't. Who
Okay,
does?
now I'm overripe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not ready.
They
It's
go
like
fast.
Not ready yet,
20-minute
not ready yet.
time frame.
Yeah, you've got this little tiny window with pears.
Yeah.
That's it.
I used to have a pear tree on my property, and I would be on my tractor mowing, and this is when I drank, and I would just go under it and yank one, and just like hillbilly, and it was always, too tough.
Too tough.
Then I got to the point where I'm like, it's too soft,
Yep.
and
It's a very small window.
yeah. But man, pears I like me some pears.
There was there was a book, a children's book, and a movie, Holes. Do you remember the movie Holes?
Yeah, I still never have. I've never seen the whole movie, but I know it's classic. I know
Yeah,
the
and
book
they
was-
have to dig these holes because they're in like a juvie thing. But they find jars of peaches, but the liquid inside the peach has turned to alcohol, and they don't realize it. And it's the greatest thing ever. They call it Sploosh, and they just sit here eating the pears and the Sploosh.
That's funny.
I have to watch it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's his face before he got weird.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know who you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Him.
Really weird.
Yeah. Bag on his head.
Oh my gosh.
What's his name?
Drive me nuts.
The guy with the thing.
Oh, you guys know.
Guy with the time with the guy in it.
Oh, his name sounds Indian, but it's not. He was in Transformers. Oh my gosh.
He's that kid. He was in, I don't know. And then he got weird and put a bag over his head.
Oh my goodness. Why can't I think of that
He
name?
just started walking around Hollywood.
He was in
with a bag
Raiders of the
over his
Lost
head.
Ark, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh,
That kid.
Shia LaBeouf.
Nothing. Thank you.
Shia
Thank
LaBeouf.
you.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
So
is when
how
he
do we
was
get on
really
Shia
young.
LaBeouf? No, let's talk about Raiders
I
of the
was
Lost
talking
Ark.
about the peachy
Oh,
stuff.
the peaches, right. Prepping
Yeah.
and peaches. Right. So, okay, so let's see. So now we talked about bugging out, but for weather, you got a generator, right? Mm-hmm. I got a generator too. You know how much gas I got?
Not much.
Whatever's in the tank of the generator. Because I'm not going to go out and buy Biden's Putin claiming gas for all the political crap, to fill up my gas cans now. And so if you are in a freezing situation, what do you do?
Well, yeah, our house, we just have the oil baseboard heat, so we're kind of screwed there.
So if you get a tent, I watch this on the YouTube people, even though we learned it in Cub Scouts, but in Cub Scouts, they never tell you that you might have to do this in your house. You create a micro environment, so you can have whatever kind of heat
Put
you
a poncho on and a cap.
So whatever kind of, you go into a smaller place with your portable heat source, so you can heat the smaller place or cool the smaller place. And I was like, yeah, that makes total sense.
You mean like closing doors in your house to make the...
Well, smaller than that.
But
because-
similar content.
Yeah, so-
But like by micro comment, he means just like you and your immediate surroundings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a tent or
Okay.
a fort or something like
But
that.
inside the house.
Yeah. Well, if you have a blizzard, no one can get to you.
Yeah.
And your heat's out and you don't have a generator, you have to get creative.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it could go crazy.
Who knows?
We talk about preppers in the end and all this stuff, and I told you how I am totally against these conspiracy theories, right? Totally against these conspiracy theories. But my wife said something to me the other day that made me go, and it was the dumbest thing. And she didn't believe it. She wasn't trying to sell me on it or anything like that. We were talking about how all these shootings, right? All these shootings that are going on, which aren't done by guns, they're done by people, and that pick up the guns. But she said, I saw something the other day where somebody's saying, ever since the COVID vaccinations and impulse control and side effects and all this stuff, and I was like, that's nonsense. And then there started being more shootings. I thought, I wonder if there's anything there. And I didn't really think about it. And then today, I saw a shooting in Alabama in a church. I'm like, oh, I'm watching the guy on the news talking. I go, okay, we're waiting for the details. The shooter was 71 years old, and he killed a man that was 85 and a woman that was 73 and another woman that was like, I'm like, what?
Maybe
What?
it was a love triangle. I don't know.
No,
Family feud.
There was some Catholic church, and they were having what they called a boomers dinner or something, that's way older than boomers, but a little church event, and old dude whips out a gat and starts blasting the other seniors, and I'm thinking, what in the world motivates you when you're that far down the road to start capping people at a church? And that kind of weirded me out, and I started thinking, man, is there something in the water? And I'm a pastor. I know at the end things are going to get weird, but I try not to be apocalyptic, not be an alarmist, not be, there's this thing called declinism where people try to make you think all society's declining when it's actually always been bad.
I think it's one of those things where you never know when someone is just going to go over their own personal edge.
It's like you said, love triangle. And old folks, they got that too. You were getting ready to say something a second ago, though.
No, the pandemic has definitely affected, especially the younger generation.
Their outlook.
Yeah, and their interactions. Between that and social media. Gosh, we just got off a trip with a bunch of kids, and they were like freaking out
Wi-Fi didn't work very well.
And
that was a travesty.
And the cell service was pretty minimal.
Oh, yeah.
Almost non-existent. So the kids were like tripping out.
Yeah, they invented a new thing. Well, since social media came out, a new psychological thing, FOMOphobia, FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. And it's probably called something else by now, but that's what it was called the first time I heard it. And it's true. It's like just what you guys said. They're disconnected, man. They don't know what to do.
Right. Yeah. But think about the anxiety level.
Right.
We make fun of them, but it's very real to them.
Exactly. And
we made them go outside.
Yeah.
But it traces back to people's mental state. If you've been more or less shut off for 2 years, rough, give or take.
Yeah.
Take that group of kids and then shut them off for a week.
Right.
They're going to start ripping each other apart because they're not going to know what else to do. And that's the
Fire.
sad thing.
That was the solution.
Fire.
Campfires.
Fire.
There's some things that remain fascinating. Waterfalls, campfires, some things can just captivate you. Yeah. And that's a good one. Fire.
Yes.
Where's my phone? Here, book of matches. Go have some fun. I don't know. Your phone's dead. We don't have service. Fire. Like, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. But,
yes, you are old.
Yes,
No. I am too.
I know.
So am I.
Terrible.
It's okay.
Settle down, Beavis. Yeah. Well, I'm a pastor. But that was before I was a pastor when I knew those cartoons. They have another movie coming out. Did you know
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. I won't see it.
Liar.
Let me tell you something here, Steve. All right. Well, what do we want to close out? I see that, you guys got any final thoughts?
If you could,
Seems like we just started.
I know. If you feel like there are basic skills that somebody should have, in a nutshell, God forbid, skills. Starting a fire.
Getting water.
Getting water.
Be it, and knowing how to disinfect and treat it. Because was it the rule of threes? 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More or less. So
you can buy water filtration systems now that are cheap. You can buy a 20-bottle filter, hold up to a bag, and it'll filter through and boil it, and then you're close enough.
I have all those things.
I do too. I got all that stuff. I
Think about all the people who don't know that.
I know.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't think about it. They think, just like you said.
Right, I turn the tap on and there's water.
Animals drink from the river. Why can't I?
Right.
And yeah.
Dogs lick their butts too.
Yeah.
Right.
There's your
Yeah,
there's your
and the world's
tagline.
more populated now. That's why the Indians moved, because they didn't have plumbing.
Yeah.
So that's
Or the U.S. government made them.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah.
more like
Well, another.
I meant before, long before that. I meant
Yeah.
That's another whole story. Oh boy, I could go down some rabbit holes on that one. Mm-hmm. So, well, some of the fam is anyway. So Indian people.
Terrible.
So I did say no, not like elephant Indian, buffalo Indian.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I know
You
know
probably
what
offended.
I was- do you like the way I
That's
simplified?
okay.
I probably
Amish,
offended. People are too easily
Indian,
offended now.
yeah.
They're just
we offend
they're
everybody.
fragile. I know, and that. Yeah, political correctness is an obstacle to the truth. You've heard me say in church a million times.
Absolutely.
It's just because people want you to reinvent your language so they won't know your true thoughts. And all humor is based on making fun of something. I'm sorry I'm going to get down this rabbit hole.
No, it's okay.
So
It's
we
your
were talking
deal.
about political correctness because we may have to prep for the end of the world and we're going to need to stay away from these people. Anyway, we were talking about The Office. If you buy The Office now on some channels, they took away episode 2 of the pilot season. That's the where the racial, you had to put like your race. You were a race of somebody. You didn't know a card on your head, and the other people would have to talk to you and stereotype your race so you would guess what race you are. And they said it is offensive. And I said the whole premise of that joke is how stupid people are and how ignorant they are to stereotype other races. So the premise is laughing at the human condition and human behavior. It's not making fun of races. It's making fun of the fact that people do this. And I'm like, are you that far gone with this political correctness run amok? Okay, so
No, but there's a
soapbox.
scary thought. Political correctness during an apocalypse.
Out the
Oh, can you imagine?
Bring back the schoolyard
Those are the
brawl.
first
Yeah.
ones that. Don't
Hey, you!
Those are the ones that don't make it.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, give me your hand. Don't call me buddy. I identify as them or theirs. Forget it. Drown.
Pretty much.
I tried to help you. It's too late. I mean, I can't imagine.
Like the people on the Titanic. Is there a boat for first class?
Ladies first. I do not like to be called a lady, and I don't appreciate the chauvinistic way that I don't need a man to. Bye. Yeah. That's.
Can you tell we've been doing this for a while?
Yeah. Sorry, we're dominating the conversation. Bethany you're not stoked about being here.
Nope.
She's all honest about it too.
That's what she was.
Nope.
On the way in, she's like, I really don't want to do this.
I could have done this or a root canal, and I wound up here. So let's get it over with.
Yikes.
But you need the Bible studies, and you rock that.
That's different.
Is it?
That's real.
What do you mean? This is real.
This is his kooky stuff and his imagination?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, look at the environment. It's like Saturday Night Fever in here.
Yeah.
It is pretty wacky. in here.
It's awesome. It's all colorful and neat. All we need is puppets
Oh.
No,
and a disco ball.
no puppets.
All right, we'll wrap up. What's your last thoughts? You go first before we close out. Just get me out of here. I want to go home. Right?
I don't have any thoughts on this.
She has to go home and check her inventory of.
Time for dinner.
She has no closing thoughts. Okay.
Time for dinner.
Time for dinner. Steve, what say you? Close it out.
I know everyone. I don't know. We were actually driving home yesterday and listening to Hank Williams Jr. and I
Awesome.
think the country boy can survive kind of
Yeah.
says it all.
That's
It
right.
does.
You know,
I can skin a buck and run a child line. Yep.
that's
Country boy can.
Survive.
kind of my mantra at this point.
Dude. Good
Even
choice.
though I wasn't raised as a country boy, but
No, but still, that song. We say grace and we say ma'am. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you got to be practical.
Right.
You got to, open the bag, open the go bag and check.
at least think about, think about what could happen
Exactly.
within reason.
Exactly.
Right.
And be ready for it for real. And don't just buy something to say that you're ready for it.
And if you don't, there's more for us.
That's right.
That's right. And as we close out, I would like to say I still believe in the human spirit. I still believe there's good people. I think if we ever have to prep and get into a situation where we have to look out for number one, each of us, I believe that human beings will still look out for one another. And I know there's a lot of people that would be that way. I like to think there's more good out there than, stay away from the gloom and doom stuff. I think it's wise that people take care of themselves because then we can't all people pull together
Right.
in tough times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll see a resurgence of community.
And when I see people that are prepping, I don't really identify them as wackos as much as I do, man. God put people like you here. We need you, and God bless you, man, because when things go south, those type of people need to rise up, and I have good faith in people for that. So
When things go south,
about-
I'm following you guys.
that's about it.
So, I mean, there you go.
We're not going south.
So, all right. So we're closing out now. Thank you guys. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Bethany.